You have worked in the White House kitchen for 11 years. You have cooked breakfast for 3 presidents. You know which one takes his eggs scrambled and which one prefers them poached and which one asked you once, very quietly, not to tell anyone he had requested a grilled cheese at 2 a.m. because it would not look presidential. You kept that secret. You keep all the secrets. That is part of the job. You are not Secret Service. You are not military. You are not a diplomat or an advisor or anyone whose name will ever appear in a history book. You are a cook. You are 44 years old. You are from Baltimore. You went to culinary school on a scholarship and worked in restaurant kitchens for 8 years before applying for the White House kitchen position on what felt like a long shot and turned out to be the thing that defined your career. Today is a Wednesday. You arrived at 5:30 a.m. as always. You prepped as always. You had coffee with Maria from the pastry section as always. Everything was exactly as it always is until 7:42 a.m. At 7:42 a.m., you hear something from the East Wing that your brain tries very hard to categorize as something other than what it is. It cannot, because you grew up in Baltimore and you know what gunshots sound like, and that is what they sound like. And your life, your ordinary, professional, egg poaching, secret keeping life, changes completely in the space of a single second. There are 9 people in the kitchen when it starts. You, Maria, 3 junior sous chefs whose names you know as well as your own, 2 dishwashers, a delivery coordinator named Paul, who is holding a clipboard and will hold it for the entire next 4 hours because he never puts it down, not once, which later will strike you as one of the most human details of the whole experience. For exactly 3 seconds after the sound, nobody moves. This is not cowardice. This is the brain doing what brains do when the information coming in does not match any template it has for ordinary Wednesday mornings. It takes 3 seconds to update the template. Then Maria says, "That was," and does not finish the sentence because finishing the sentence would make it real, and for one more moment, none of you want it to be real. Then the intercom on the wall crackles. A voice, clipped, authoritative, the specific cadence of someone trained to communicate under pressure. All non essential personnel shelter in place immediately. This is not a drill. Secure your location. Do not use elevators. Do not exit the building. Shelter in place. There is a moment of complete silence in the kitchen. Then everyone moves at once. You have done lockdown drills. Every White House employee does. Twice a year, a simulation, a walkthrough of exactly what to do if something exactly like this happens. You have always treated those drills the way most people treat fire drills: present, compliant, slightly impatient to get back to work. You are not impatient now. The drill said secure the room, lock the doors, move away from windows, stay low, stay quiet, wait for all clear. You do all of those things. Your hands are completely steady. You will think about this later, how steady your hands were, and you will not be able to explain it, except to say that the kitchen has always been the place where your hands know what to do, even when the rest of you does not. The White House kitchen is in the ground floor of the residence. It is a large room, approximately the size of a small restaurant kitchen, with 2 entry points, both now locked. There are no windows at ground level. This is, you realize, both a vulnerability and a protection. Nobody can see in. Nobody can easily get in either. You have your phone. The drill said do not make calls. It can compromise your location and overwhelm emergency lines. You text your wife instead. 3 words: I am okay. You do not explain because explaining would require information you do not have and would frighten her with specifics before you know the specifics yourself. She responds in 11 seconds. What is happening? You respond, shelter in place at work. I am okay. I love you. Do not call. Then you turn your phone to silent and put it in your pocket and focus on the room. Paul is still holding the clipboard. Maria has her hand over her mouth, not crying, not panicking, just holding herself very carefully together with one hand. The junior chefs are in various states of controlled fear. One is praying quietly, which you respect completely. One has his eyes closed and is breathing with the deliberate rhythm of someone who learned meditation and is now extremely grateful for it. From somewhere above you, 2 floors up, maybe 3, another sound. Not gunshots this time. Something heavier. A door. Boots on marble. Shouted words you cannot make out through the ceiling and the walls and the distance. You press your back against the industrial refrigerator. It is cold through your chef's whites. You notice this with the hyper-specific sensory attention that extreme stress produces. The cold of the metal, the smell of the kitchen, the sound of the refrigerator's compressor humming with complete indifference to what is happening around it. The compressor does not know there is a crisis. It just keeps the food cold. You find this, briefly, very funny. You do not laugh, but you find it funny. This is what your brain does under pressure. It finds the absurd details and holds on to them because they are manageable and the rest is not. At 8:11 a.m., you know this because you checked your phone. The handle of the east kitchen door moves. The room goes absolutely still. You mean this literally. 9 people stop breathing simultaneously. Paul's clipboard does not move. The praying stops. The meditation breathing stops. Everything stops except the refrigerator compressor, which continues humming because it does not know. The handle moves again. Then a knock. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 knocks. You look at Maria. Maria looks at you. A voice through the door. White House security. We have a kitchen staff member who needs to shelter with you. Please open the door. And here is the thing about that sentence. It sounds exactly right. The cadence, the language, the authority. It sounds like exactly what it says it is. It also sounds like exactly what someone who wanted you to open the door would say. You stay where you are. You say, loudly, clearly toward the door, what is the daily food service code? Every White House kitchen staff member knows the daily code. It changes every morning. It is one of the security protocols that seemed bureaucratic in training and feels extremely relevant right now. A pause. Then, through the door. Charlie Tango 774. That is the correct code. You look at Maria again. She nods once. You cross the kitchen. You unlock the door. A Secret Service agent, female, mid-30s, one hand on the door frame and the other in a position that tells you she is ready for anything, steps in fast, pulling someone behind her. A young White House intern, maybe 23, who looks exactly the way you felt 30 minutes ago when the template did not update fast enough. The agent scans the room in 2 seconds. She says, good. Stay here. Stay quiet. Do not open this door again for anyone. Anyone. Understood? 9 people and 1 terrified intern say yes simultaneously. She leaves. You lock the door behind her. Paul adjusts his grip on the clipboard. Here is what nobody tells you about being trapped in a crisis. Most of it is waiting. The dramatic moments, the gunshots, the door handle, the agent with her hand ready, those last seconds. The waiting lasts hours. And the waiting is, in its own way, harder than the dramatic moments because the dramatic moments give your adrenaline somewhere to go and the waiting does not. You make a decision at 8:30 a.m. You are a cook. This is a kitchen. There are 10 people in it who have been awake since before dawn and who are frightened and who need something to do with their hands and their minds. You make food, not a full service, not the presidential breakfast that is sitting half prepped on the counter and will wait. You make toast. You scramble eggs. You brew coffee. You do it quietly and efficiently and with the muscle memory of 20 years in professional kitchens and the very specific comfort of doing something you know how to do well in a situation where most things are outside your control. Maria starts helping without being asked. Then one of the sous chefs. Then the intern, whose name is James, who is from Ohio, who has been at the White House for 3 weeks and did not expect his 4th week to go this way, takes a position at the toaster with the seriousness of someone who has decided that toast is the most important thing he can contribute to this situation and is going to contribute it fully. You eat standing up, crowded around the central prep station. 10 people in chef's whites and 1 terrified intern eating scrambled eggs in the White House kitchen while something you cannot see or fully understand happens in the floors above you. It is, and you will say this later when people ask, and they will not fully believe you, it is one of the best meals you have ever been part of. Not because the food is good, though the eggs are good because you cook good eggs, but because of what it means when people choose to feed each other in the middle of being afraid. That choice is not nothing. That choice is everything. At 9:47 a.m., the sounds from above change. For 2 hours, there has been intermittent noise, movement, voices, twice more what might have been gunshots or might have been doors slamming in the specific way that heavy security doors slam when they are being used urgently. You have learned to hear this building differently in the last 2 hours. You have become attentive to its sounds in the way that you are never attentive to the sounds of a place you know too well. But at 9:47, the quality of the sound changes, the urgency decreases, the movement above you slows. The voices, which you cannot make out but can feel through the ceiling as a vibration, a texture of communication, shift from the staccato of active crisis to something longer, slower, more deliberate. James, the intern, notices it first. He says, "It sounds different." You say, "Yes." Maria says, "Is it over?" You say, "I don't know yet." But you think it might be. You think that the building is exhaling. You have worked here for 11 years, and you know this building in a way that is hard to explain. You know its rhythms, its moods, the way it sounds when it is full of normal activity, and the way it sounds when something is wrong. And right now, it is beginning to sound like something that was wrong is becoming less wrong. You do not say this out loud. You have learned in 11 years of cooking for powerful people that the most important thing you can offer in an uncertain moment is steadiness, not premature reassurance. Premature reassurance is a kind of lie, and you do not traffic in lies. So you wait, and the sound above you continues to shift, and the room waits with you. At 10:14 a.m., the intercom crackles again. The voice on the intercom is the same voice as before, clipped, authoritative, but something in it has changed. A fraction less tension, a fraction more breath. All clear. The White House is secure. All staff, please remain in your current locations until a security officer conducts a personal clearance. Do not move between floors without escort. All clear. All clear. 2 words. Paul puts the clipboard down. For the first time in 2 hours and 32 minutes, Paul puts the clipboard down. He puts it on the counter and he sits down on the kitchen floor with his back against the cabinet. And he puts his face in his hands and his shoulders shake once, just once. And then he straightens up and picks the clipboard back up because Paul is, at his core, a clipboard person, and some things do not change even after all clear. Maria is crying. Quietly, efficiently, the way she does everything. She cries for approximately 90 seconds, and then she wipes her face with a clean kitchen cloth, and she says, "Okay." And that is that. James, the intern, is on his phone. His hands are shaking now, the adrenaline leaving, which always comes with a physical cost. And he is typing something to someone, and you hope it is his parents, because if you were his parents, you would want to know. You text your wife, "All clear. I am fine. I will call you soon. I love you." She responds in 4 seconds with every emotion available on a phone keyboard simultaneously, and you look at it and you laugh. Genuinely, fully, the first real laugh in 2.5 hours, because that string of emojis is the most human thing you have seen all day, and you needed it more than you knew. A security officer arrives at 10:31 a.m. He is young, younger than James somehow, and he clears the room methodically and professionally. And when he is done, he looks at the scrambled eggs on the counter and the toast and the coffee, and he says, Did you cook in here?" You say, "People were hungry." He looks at you for a moment. Then he says, "Fair enough." They debrief you at 11 a.m. A security officer and someone from the administrative office ask you questions in a small room off the main corridor. What did you hear? What did you see? What time did things happen? Did anyone come to the kitchen door? And if so, what did they say? You answer everything clearly and completely. You have a good memory. Cooks always have good memories. You have to in a kitchen where 100 details matter simultaneously. And writing things down is not always an option. They thank you. They tell you that the situation has been contained. They do not tell you what the situation was, and you do not ask because you have worked here long enough to know which questions get answered and which ones you file away and let go. You drive home at 2 p.m. Your shift was supposed to end at 1. You are 1 hour late, which is given everything. Not bad. Your wife is at the door when you pull up. She does not say anything. She just holds on to you in the doorway for a long time, and you let her because she has earned it. She spent 2.5 hours knowing something was wrong and not knowing how wrong. And that is its own kind of courage, the courage of the person who waits. Later, much later, after dinner, and after the news which covers the incident in the broad strokes that official briefings produce, after the calls from your mother and your brother and your oldest friend from culinary school, after all of it, you sit in your kitchen at home. Your kitchen. Small, slightly cluttered. Nothing like the White House kitchen, except that it is yours. You make eggs, not because you are hungry. You ate the eggs you made this morning, the ones you scrambled for 10 people in the most powerful building in America, while something you could not see happened in the floors above you. You make eggs because you are a cook, and cooking is the thing your hands do when everything else is too much. And as you stand there scrambling eggs in your own kitchen on a Wednesday night, you think about something. You think about what it means to be the person in the background of the important story. The cook, not the president. The pastry chef, not the Secret Service. The person whose name will not be in any report, whose role will not be mentioned in any briefing, who simply showed up at 5:30 a.m. to do their job and found themselves inside history by accident. There are thousands of people like you in buildings like that one, in hospitals and schools and government offices and courthouses, people doing the work that keeps the world running, invisible until something goes wrong, essential every single day. You made eggs. You kept 10 people calm and fed and human in a room where it would have been very easy to be none of those things. Nobody will write about that. Nobody will debrief you about that. But it happened. And the 10 people who ate those eggs know it happened. And you know it happened. And sometimes, most of the time actually, that is enough. You plate the eggs, you sit down at your kitchen table. Outside, the world continues. Loud and complicated, and occasionally terrifying, and still somehow mostly okay. You eat your eggs. You go to work again tomorrow. That is what you do. That is who you are. And it is enough. This was a fictional story, but the people it is about are real. The cooks, the cleaners, the maintenance workers, the administrative staff, the thousands of invisible essential people who keep the most important buildings in the world running every single day without recognition and without hesitation. This one is for them. Subscribe to Borrowed Lives. Every week, a different life. Every time, someone worth seeing. See you in the next Borrowed Life.